to take you through how to process a virtual credit card or a VCC payment from start to finish. This is a situation where you receive an EOB from an insurance company. Instead of a physical check or like a bank-to-bank transfer, they send you a virtual credit card. So what do? We have to run the credit card somehow, and we somehow have to post the EOB. So it is a two-step process currently on how to process a VCC. The first thing you have to do is you have to set up a fake patient in your office. This patient is essentially your piggy bank for your virtual credit card payments. We don't want to run a virtual credit card on a patient's account because that payment is not just for that patient. Majority of the time, that payment from the insurance company encompasses payments for multiple services across multiple patients. We also do not want to run a virtual credit card through the virtual terminal with Fortis or Cash Practice. I'm using those as an example as those are integrated merchant services. You don't want to run them through a virtual terminal because that does not connect to anybody in CareHD. So that payment will not sync into CareHD. It will run through your merchant service, but it won't actually be in your CareHD ledger. You want to set up a fake patient. I call mine Fortis VCC because our test office uses Fortis as an example, but you can name this patient whatever you like. It does need to be identifying that it is a patient for virtual credit card, VCC, so just make it obvious that this is not a real patient. If you are concerned about your patient list, you can also make this patient inactive so that they do not show up on your active patients list. But we have to create this fake patient because they are our piggy bank for those payments. So now when I need to run that credit card, I need to open up this fake patient, click on transaction, payment. If you have Fortis or Cash Practice or another integrated service, it will populate here. I would put in the amount of the payment and then hit submit. The next screens that show will be the merchant services screens where you can put in the card number. If you are not using an integrated merchant service, you want to click payment and whatever the payment method was, whether it was Visa, so on and so forth. Again, you would not have to select this if you're using an integrated merchant service. Do not select insurance check. We want to put the method in which that card was. Maybe it was a Visa card that I had to run. So I put Visa here. Just do not select insurance check. Again, we can put the amount of the check. Again, if I was using an integrated merchant service, I would just put in the card information on my next screens, but I don't have a test account, so I can't show you that process. But what I do want to cover is running the payment on the fake patient in your office. You have to run it this way. Right now, this payment is going to show as a patient payment. Right now in CareHD, we don't have another way to run a credit card that isn't attached to a patient, but still has to show on a ledger somehow. So if I looked at my collections for today, the payment would show as a patient collection. Now the collections is still, the amount is still correct. The category is just off. It's showing as a patient payment. So here's where the second step in this process comes into play. I need to post the EOB. Now the method in which we go about posting this is up to your office. If you have internal billing, then your internal billing processor can run the payment and post the EOB. If you have an external billing company, you need to talk with that company as y'all need to work out a process in who is running the credit card and then who is communicating that to the billing company because they need to post the EOB. So I've run the credit card. Now moving on to step 2 of posting the EOB. I'm going to click on the Insurance tab, Process EOB. I'm going to select Virtual Credit Card from this drop-down. I'll put in the third-party payer. If I need to widen the date range, I can. I want to select the patient from this dropdown. What we are doing now is posting an EOB from a patient ledger. Now the verbiage and all of that can be confusing, but essentially all that's meaning is we are grabbing that payment that we ran on that Fortis VCC patient and posting an EOB to that payment. So we're converting it in this process from a patient payment to an insurance payment. This step is necessary to convert that payment so that, again, it moves from patient to insurance and we post against that payment correctly. So I would type in my fake patient's name, and then I want to use the drop down and select the payment, the transaction I am posting an EOB against. Again, it's saying I want to take this payment from this patient, convert it over to an insurance payment, and attach an EOB. I can put a check amount and a memo, which are highly encouraged, and put in the check amount, which should match what the payment was. If I do not select these two options, what will happen is I've ran the payment on that fake patient, which is now a patient payment at the moment. And if I do not select these two options, then essentially what I'm doing is just posting an EOB of $200, which would be an insurance payment. So now I have doubled up my payments. I have my patient one because I haven't converted it using these options. And I have an insurance payment of $200, and my collections will be off as it's doubled. So this step is vital in converting that patient payment to insurance and saying, hey, here's an EOB attached to it. Otherwise, you will double up your collections. So these steps are necessary in correctly running a virtual credit card payment in EOB through CardHD. You have to run the payment on that fake patient's account, and then you have to select virtual credit card on the EOB posting screen and select the patient in the transaction to convert it. From this point, I would post my EOB as normal. So I would go to each patient's account and put in whatever payment, copay, write-off, etc. is notated on my EOB. Since this is my test office, there's a lot of data in here. So let's just say I have a payment, 50. So at this point, I have $0 remaining. I've allocated my full $200 of this EOB, and I'm going to hit finalize. Now, if I go to my collections report, I will see that $200 reflected as an insurance payment. It's under my insurance category because I converted it via the virtual credit card posting screen and the correct method. So now I've transitioned it and moved it from a patient payment to an insurance payment, and I've attached the EOB. I'm clicking on another fake patient that I use for virtual credit card processing, and I can tell that I posted an EOB and converted this payment via the virtual credit card option on the EOB posting screen, because this gray line will now appear. It says attached to third-party payer payment. So if I'm looking at this ledger, I can see an EOB has been attached for these payments, but not for this payment or this payment. So that could be a situation where maybe the office ran the credit card and the billing company still needs to post the EOB, but I can see at an audit level what has been posted and not posted. So to recap, the correct way to post is to set up a fake VCC patient, run the virtual credit card payment under that patient, then you go to the EOB posting screen, select virtual credit card, put in your necessary information, and make sure to select the patient in the transaction to post against.